I'm Ramdas Sapate. Welcome to my English class. Imagine you are on your way to a school and you saw a lady who met with an accident. What will you do? Will you go to a school or take that lady to the hospital? Sure, you'll admit that lady in the hospital. Friends, for this purpose only God has sent us on this earth to do good for others. And here we are going to learn a poem, a lesson of Northland, written by Carey. Carey was an American poetess and a younger sister of Alice Carey. Carey and Alice Carey co-published Poems of Alice and Field, Poems of Hope, Faith and Love, and Poems and Paradise. A Legend of Northland is a story of an old lady who angered Saint Peter due to her greedy nature. Legend means an old traditional story, and here Northland refers to a land which is located in the north. A specific country is not mentioned in the poem, but maybe the Northland is surrounded by some other countries like Russia, Greenland, Alaska, Scandinavia. This particular poem, A Legend of Northland, is a ballad. What is a ballad? A ballad is a poem narrating a story in short stanzas. And this particular poem has 16 stanzas, and each stanza has 4 lines. Ballads are part of folk culture or popular culture, passed on orally from one generation to the next. And this, the Legend of the Northland, is very popular in the Northland, which is passed from generation to generation orally. Now let us see the poem. In this poem, we will find Saint Peter, who was an apostle of Jesus Christ, and an old lady who is very greedy. Let us begin reading the poem now. A Legend of Northland. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through, where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bears' cubs in their funny furry clothes. They tell them a curious story. I don't believe it's true, and yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. Once, when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and walked about it preaching, just as he did, he came to the door of a cottage in traveling round the earth, where a little woman was baking cakes and baking them on the hearth. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. So she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. Therefore, she needed another and still a smaller one, but it looked, when she turned it over, as large as the first had done. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a vapor. But she couldn't part with that. For she said, my cakes that seem too small when I eat of them myself are yet too large to give away. So she put them on the shelf. Then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and pain, And surely such a woman was enough to provoke assent. And he said, "You are far too selfish to dwell in a human form, to have both food and shelter, and fire to keep you warm. Now you shall build as the birds do, and shall get your scanty food by boring and boring and boring all day in the hard, dry wood." Then up she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was chased to a bird. She had a scarlet cap on her head, and that was left the same, but all the rest of her clothes were bone black as a coal in the flame. And see, every country school boy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring for food.